Hi friends. So, I'm South African, right? Right. And despite being born and raised in South Africa, a lot of the media that I have consumed throughout my life has been from America. This includes series, films, novels, and music. If I'm being honest with myself, almost 90% of the media that I consume is made in America. And given that we are currently in the age of technology, it didn't take time for me to come across the concept of the standard of beauty, more specifically, Western beauty. The pinnacle of Western beauty is ambiguity. Ambiguity in the color of your skin, the shape of your body, the texture of your hair. You want to look like a hybrid of two or more cultures, an exoticism that elicits arousal. And just as technology evolves every day, so does the image of an ideal woman. Today I'm going to discuss the image of an ideal woman in South Africa and the impact of Western society, or lack thereof, on this image. And before I get into everything, I just want to say two things. Number one, for this discussion, I'm going to mostly be focusing on beauty standards and expectations that are faced by Black women in South Africa, given I am a Black woman in South Africa, and it's what I can relate to and I can draw personal experiences from. I hope in future to be able to make videos on white, colored, Indian, all women in South Africa, but right now I really want to focus on Black women in South Africa for this discussion. That's the first thing. Second thing, if you watched my previous video, you might have noticed that like my background is different. Yeah, it's different because I'm back home. In that video I was at uni. Now I'm back home. And this is the setup I could come up with. If you hear any background sounds or something, it's my family. There's nothing I can do about it. There's literally nothing I can do about it. Okay, yeah, let's begin. From what I can gather from research, observations, and just existing in modern society, the most consistent beauty standard in Western society has always been thinness. And this beauty standard has been modified over time to include additions such as having a big butt, big boobs, having big boobs with no butt, having a big butt but thighs that don't touch, which is low-key kind of impossible, but overall maintaining a flat stomach and an overall slim figure. And growing up as a Black woman in South Africa, I began to notice that the beauty standards that were being forced onto me by the media that I was consuming was not the same as the beauty standards that I was experiencing and being expected to meet in my day-to-day life. While Western beauty standards have always promoted thinness and whiteness, that has not been the expectation that at least I felt was being pushed onto me. Beauty, especially amongst Black people, has always come with size. Big boobs, thick thighs, a big butt. Growing up, I've always heard the phrase, a man wants a full woman, something they can hold on to, someone that can keep them warm during the long winter nights. There's always been this emphasis on curves, and though this might not be surprising for some of you, given that that is the current beauty standard that is being promoted right now, unlike Western society where the image of the ideal woman fluctuates over the years, going from medium to heroin thin and what it is now, in South Africa, a full woman has always been the ideal woman. And that would be fine, not fine, but that would be that would be that, right? If that was the end of the beauty standards that we experience as women, yeah. But it's not the end of it, unfortunately. So for this section of the discussion, I'm going to be basing a lot of the things I'm going to say on personal experiences, my feelings, and my theories on the topic. It's very possible that some of you might not be able to relate to some of the things I'm about to say, but I don't think none of you will be able to relate. And for that reason, I think it is a good enough reason for me to share, because I know I'm not the only one who went through all of this. So yeah, with all that being said, let's get into the dilemma that a lot of women face, which is to be thick or to be skinny. Growing up with the media I was consuming and the female influences that were in my life, I have always felt an immense pressure to be skinny, and I've always had people comment on my body. I was a chubby kid growing up, and my female relatives, they never, my aunts, my aunt Sana, they never made me forget that I had a body. What does that even mean? Because I was a kid. But anyway, they always commented on my body, telling me how big my butt was, how thick my thighs was. There was this one time, let me just go on a tangent. There was literally this one time where I hadn't seen my aunt in years, maybe like 2-3 years, right? At this time, I'm like 14, 13, maybe even 12. I was a kid. And I get in the car, and literally the first thing she says to me was, your thighs are so big. They're bigger than mine. How old are you having thighs that big? And she was saying it in a bad way. That's just a snippet of like the nonsense I would experience. And they would always comment on my body and how big my features were, while simultaneously praising thin women when we would watch films and TV, and they would compliment how beautiful their bodies were, the women that we would see in the TV, and at the same time putting down their own bodies, because despite the fact that they would criticize me for being big or chubby, they were also big and chubby. I mean, it's clear that they had internalized hatred towards the bodies that they have, which were bigger bodies, and they saw thinness as the ideal body type. And because of all of this, that is the ideal body type that was presented to me, and that's the mindset that I would have, or that I developed at home, that I should be thin, that being thin means you are beautiful. But then when I started going to school and I started interacting with the outside world, I realized that this is not the same story as what I'm getting at home. As I grew older and I interacted with more people outside of my family, I started noticing that I was getting a lot more attention, a lot more male attention, and I was getting compliments on my body that was specifically focusing on how full and big I was. And that was very confusing to me, because up until then I was convinced that a body can only be beautiful if it is a thin body. So it was really messing up with my brain. I didn't understand why they found me beautiful. From that, and just thinking and experiencing life a bit more, I started noticing that there is a difference between what men find beautiful and what women find beautiful. And I know that not all women find thinness as beautiful, but I'll explain why this particular experience made me differentiate between what men find beautiful and what female find beautiful. So I think, okay, no, I don't think, I know. They are cutting the grass. They're cutting my neighbor's grass. So if you hear it's that they're cutting the grass. I think they're cutting grass from like surrounding houses, and I tried to wait, but this is the second time it happens, so I just have to continue. But now it's a bit better than how it was before. So yeah, but if you hear that in the background, that's what's happening. They're cutting grass. I'm sorry, can't do much about it. So yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, I feel like women, and this is not just in South Africa, have always associated thinness with beauty. And this links back to what I said before about the current beauty standards and how even now, though having bigger features is promoted and encouraged, it's still accompanied by a slim figure. Whereas with men have always had this, at least men in South Africa, have always had this affinity towards curves and fullness, and they have more of an understanding, subconscious or not, that this comes with more body fat, some body rolls, being big, unrealistic body. A lot of women find themselves in a situation where they don't know how they're supposed to look to be desired. And this is because on one hand, from other women as well as media, they're being told that they need to be slim to be desired and sexy and wear certain clothes and whatnot. And on the other hand, by men, of which straight women want to be desired by, they are being told that you need to be thick and curvy and stuff. And I know that people are not supposed to strive to be desired by the opposite gender. However, the reality is we still do, and those are just the unfortunate consequences of modern society. And as much as people can try to not feed into these standards and these expectations, and at the end of the day, we all have the need to be desired, and it is expected for individuals to want to satisfy that need. Now, this dilemma manifests itself into a scenario which I think is a lot more common than we would like to admit to ourselves, which is a situation where a young girl is possibly feeling insecure about her body, and maybe she feels like her arms are too large, or her stomach is too big, or her thighs are too big, and she makes the decision, unfortunate or not, to lose weight, and she succeeds. Now, all of a sudden, her mom, aunt, all of the female influences in her life are telling her she looks beautiful. She's getting compliments left, right, and center, and is being praised for her transformation. She's told that she looks healthier and she looks smaller. And all of this feels so good until it doesn't. Until she sets foot outside of the house or outside of her immediate circle, and now all of the men that used to give her attention and used to compliment her body are telling her that she looked better when she was bigger, and they cannot shut up about how much they love a big, curvy, voluptuous woman. And now, in a matter of seconds, you go from loving how you look because the women in your life are telling you that they love how you look, to feeling ugly because men are now telling you that you are ugly. They're telling you that you are less of a woman, but at home you are treated like more of a woman. And the same applies to someone who grew up thin and being praised by their female counterparts about their thinness and their slim figure, whilst at the same time being bullied by the men around them that they are not woman enough because they do not have curves. And now when you choose to gain weight, men are telling you you are a woman, you are desirable, and the women in your life are telling you are ugly. The effects of this, at least personally, in this part is a bit unscripted, is it really does mess with your perception of beauty and your understanding of beauty. You don't know how you're supposed to look. Whenever you look at yourself in the mirror, you don't ask yourself the question, am I beautiful? You ask yourself, will I look beautiful to my mom today or to my aunt? Will I look beautiful to the guy that I like? Your beauty is determined by what other people say about your body. And the focus is always, at least in my experience, on your body. But unfortunately, these beauty standards are not as black and white as either being thick or being skinny. It gets a bit more complicated. This is a theory that I have, which I honestly think is correct, but it's just a theory. I feel like society has these unspoken rules that determine who can or cannot be thick or skinny. And what I mean by that is, unless you have a naturally curvy body, which is big boobs and a big butt in proportionate to your waist, you are not allowed to be thick. It is like thick bodies or big bodies are only allowed when you have big boobs and a big butt or some curves, because then when you get big, you're gonna be curvy, and that is, especially in today's day and age and today's beauty standards, that is desirable. And if you are not curvy, then people expect you to default to being thin. And I feel like people who don't have a hourglass or a pear-shaped figure experience an even larger pressure than like those with those body types to be thin, because it's like you're not allowed to be thick. You have to default to being thin, which is messed up in my opinion. I think it's very messed up, but it's an observation that I've made, because let me not pretend as if bigger bodies aren't being praised right now. They are, but only under the conditions that they are curvy big bodies. And this isn't specific to South Africa at all. It's if anything, I've observed it more in Western society than I have in South Africa, but I did want to include it in this discussion, given that we are talking about female beauty standards. Continuing the conversation, unfortunately, female beauty standards do not just end at the way our body looks, but it also extends to the way in which we are expected to act. I don't know about other parts of the world, but in South Africa, the word wholesome is abused. We use it a lot, and there are some people who don't use it that much, but yeah, we use it a lot. And it's often used to describe the behavior, the personality, character of a man or woman, but obviously for this discussion we want to talk about women. And according to the Urban Dictionary, for someone to be wholesome, it means to be pure of heart, devoid of corruption or malice, modest, stable, virtuous, and all around sweet and compassionate. Now, in South Africa and in the context in which I'm going to use it for this discussion, wholesome is often used to describe the perfect girl. She is kind, doesn't cheat, and is guided by good norms. And in a perfect world, there wouldn't be anything wrong with these expectations. However, we don't live in a perfect world. So let me explain why the concept of the wholesome Han is harmful. Now, the problem with the wholesome Han, I'm gonna call it an aesthetic. Yeah, the wholesome Han aesthetic. The problem with the wholesome Han aesthetic is the bias that it creates towards women who do not fit that aesthetic. And that is women who maybe like to go out a lot, like to drink occasionally, more than occasionally, like to go to club and love to not look wholesome according to society standards. And I think it can create a very harmful bias towards women who do not fit that description, and women who just don't want to fit that description, because not everyone wants to be modest and be a homebody, and that's okay. Women have different personalities. We have different ways we want to present ourselves, and it's okay for people to have preferences on the kind of women that they want. But the reality is that this is not a matter of preference. Y'all are just weird. This aesthetic creates this mindset, will make women feel like they can't go out and enjoy these things, drinking, partying, whatever, unwholesome. Women can't enjoy these things because they will be labeled undateable, which is messed up. You can go out and you can go to parties occasionally, or even not occasionally, and you can come back home and you can be an amazing partner to someone. It puts women in a box. It's either you are this or that, and that is harmful. It promotes the idea that women are not complex beings. You can enjoy one thing and the other thing at the same time. You can enjoy going out and partying, but still be a good partner to someone. I've literally heard people with their chest, with confidence, their entire chest, Sana, say that they don't respect girls who go out to groove. And this is not just with men. I've heard women say the same thing. Slut shaming women who like to go out, and victim blaming women who have been harassed while going out, because good girls don't go out. Good girls stay at home, which is a very messed up mindset to have. Another thing that I have noticed being encouraged when it comes to how a woman is supposed to act is the concept of a good wife. And this concept has been around for a long time. It was passed down to our grandmothers, from our grandmothers it went to our mothers, and now it was pushed onto us. And this kind of mindset has bled into our conversations as young people. I remember myself being as young as 9 or 8 years old, talking to my friends about how can they expect to be good wives if they don't know how to cook pap. I was 8. Obviously, I don't know how to cook pap. Like, who knows how to cook pap at 8? It was like we were competing with each other, and we still continue to compete with each other on who can be the most traditional wife. And the more traditional you are, the more of a better wife you are. However, you can't be too traditional, or else you're going to be labeled too submissive. And that's where the Western influence comes in. In my opinion, Western society has been pioneers in modeling what an independent woman is and how it's supposed to look like, which now creates this dilemma that a lot of South African women face, which is wanting to be a traditional wife or a traditional woman, but not wanting to lose their independence. And yet again, South African women find themselves in a crossroad in pursuit of love and acceptance by society. We are constantly being pulled left and right on how we're expected to be, and are somehow supposed to figure out a way to present ourselves as a hybrid of both cultures, Western and traditional cultures. South Africa has and will always be a country that is influenced by Western culture, and unfortunately that has bled into the way women view themselves, more specifically Black women in this instance. Beauty and what it means is not a fixed concept and will continue to change over the years. I can only hope that as it changes, young and grown women all around the world gain the understanding that the only life worth living is a life of your own, and that includes the way you approach beauty and how you want to present yourself to the world. The only person you need to be beautiful for is yourself, and if anyone has an issue with the way you approach beauty, they could honestly go choke on a bottle of water and die. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. Outfit of the day. I tried to look very feminine. I wanted to wear pink. Didn't work out. I don't have clothes like that. So I ended up wearing a skirt. Can't see it properly. I'll stand up and show you. This is the outfit. I don't know if you can see my shoes. I'm wearing flops. But if I were to wear shoes, I would wear it with this. And then I styled my hair like this. And then today I did a whole face of makeup. And I like it. I give it a 6 out of 10. Because I was trying out a new method of doing my concealer. And I don't know how it came out. But I give it a 6 out of 10. I wouldn't go out like this though. But I would fool myself like this. So yeah. If you were hearing some clings, it's my jewelry. Any life updates from me? Okay. Like I said, I'm back home. It's during holidays. I'm probably gonna release this in Jan, but I'm actually filming in December right now. And if I have been doing this a lot during this weekend, not during this video, it's because I have a runny nose, and I don't know why I have a runny nose. I don't know if I'm sick or if it's my sinuses, but yeah. I'm tired. Okay. Bye.